The extent of support in Quebec for the Confederation project is a matter of conjecture and debate. What is certain is that the drive toward Confederation did not primarily come from Quebec. If Confederation was done, it was because there was a great dissatisfaction in Ontario with the way the Union functioned in the 1860s. As well, there was a great deal of sectional discontent from a variety of issues, and it appeared difficult, if not impossible, to bring about appropriate solutions within the legal framework created by the Union Act. Quebec attempted to do in the Confederation period was to salvage the best situation possible in a process the province did not initiate or control. Quebec joined Confederation in 1867 and was once a British colony. They wanted to join New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, and Newfoundland to become a stronger colony. They wanted to build a railroad and didn't want American expansion.
Ontario. The history of Ontario covers the period of the arrival of the Paleo-Indians thousands of years ago to the present day. Ontario is the most populated province in Canada as of the 21st century. Ontario has been inhabited for millennia by groups of Aboriginal people. With French and British exploration and colonization started in the 17th century. Before the arrival of the Europeans, the region was inhabited by both Algonquin and Iroquois tribes. Ontario joined Confederation in 1867 because they wanted to make new country with the British colonies in Quebec. The fathers of Confederation for Ontario are George Brown, James Cockburn, William Pierce Howland, and Sir John A. Macdonald, and Sir Oliver Mowat.
In the 1850s and 1860s, with the fur trade in decline, the British government and leaders in British North America became interested in the agriculture potential of the area, particularly the Southern Plains and the Rockies. In 1867, the Dominion of Canada was created. Worried that the expansionist United States would try to annex the West, the Canadian government in Ottawa decided to solidify its hold on the territory. In 1870, Canada purchased Rupert's Land in the Northwest from the HBC and labeled the entire Western and Arctic region the Northwest Territories. The province of Manitoba was created out of the area the same year. In 1874, Canada began asserting its presence in what would become Alberta, sending the Northwest Mounted Police across the prairies to the present-day Lethbridge to establish Fort Macleod. In 1875, the Mounties also built forts in present-day Calgary and Edmonton. Meanwhile, the Canadian government negotiated land treaties with the First Nations. Alberta joined Confederation on September 1905 and also joined Confederation with Saskatchewan. It was inhabited by Aboriginals, was scared of American expansion. Alberta was supposed to be one province but was too big and was administered into two provinces.
No problem. Nova Scotia, before the time of Confederation, was a colony of approximately 350,000 people spread around the coastline. The population included people of British, Irish, Scottish, German, Mi'kmaq, and Acadian descent. The largest community was the city of Halifax. Other major centers included Yarmouth and Truro. Nova Scotia joined Confederation in July 1867 because were hesitant about joining, and Macdonald helped join Nova Scotia into Confederation.
Whether Newfoundland and Labrador should remain as an independent political entity or join the Federation of the other British North American colonies was an issue from 1864 to 1949. In 1864, Newfoundland delegates attended the Quebec Conference and signed the resolutions which became a foundation of the 1867 British North America Act. But it was not until over 80 years later, in 1949, the Newfoundland became a Canadian province. Not yet ready to give up on independence, Newfoundlanders had decided that they could survive, prosper even, on their own. The election was so decisive that the idea of Confederation was set aside. It became a dirty word in many circles. Thus, Newfoundland became the only British North American colony to try the experiment of independence within the British Empire. Newfoundland joined Confederation on March 31st, 1949. province first did not want to join Canada, but a later vote proved different. They joined Confederation because they didn't want America to take over the province. Alfred B. Marine was a big help in allowing Newfoundland to join Confederation.
In the year 1905, Alberta and Saskatchewan joined Canada as 8th and 9th provinces. These new provinces were originally part of Rupert's Land. Canada now expanded so that it spanned the entire distance between the oceans, from sea to sea. Canada still feared American expansion and fought for more independence from the UK. They didn't want to rely on Britain. The fur trade was the main reason for the exploration and development of this territory. It was occupied for 7,000 years by First Nations, and Regina became the capital of Saskatchewan.
Before the 1870s, the Hudson's Bay Company owned a huge area in the western part of what is now Canada. This area contained Rupert's Land in the Northwest Territory. The people of the Red River Colony in the southern part of Rupert's Land were Métis. They wanted their own government for one main reason. When the Canadian government bought Rupert's Land in the Northwestern Territory, the Métis were afraid that they would lose their rights. If they had their own government, it would be easier to keep their way of life. Before becoming a province, Manitoba was the stage for many events and pivotal movements in Canada's history. Pending the transfer of Rupert's Land to Canada, the federal government sent survey crews, led by Lieutenant Governor William McDougall, to map the Red River area in 1869. The Métis became concerned about the redistribution of land to future settlers and the effects this would have on their own land.
Prince Edward Island joined Confederation in July 1873. Prince Edward Island joined Confederation basically as a way out of its financial problems. It had first rejected the idea in 1867, even though it had hosted the Charlottetown Conference in 1864, where Confederation was first proposed. The Islanders preferred being part of Great Britain, although they contemplated with other opinions, like being a dominion of their own or even pursuing with the United States.
In the 1870s, Rupert's Land in the Northwestern Territory were bought by Canada, and the whole area was renamed the Northwest Territories. In 1870, the territories were covered a huge area. Over the years, pieces of land were taken away to form Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, Yukon, and Nunavut, and other pieces of land were added to Ontario and Quebec. The history of the Northwest Territories begins with the population region by First Nations people, and proceeds through the transformation of it into provinces and territories of the nation of Canada, including the modern administrative unit of the Northwest Territories. When European settlers began to divide the continent, the Northwest Territories included much of the sparsely populated regions of what is now Western Canada. Over time, the provinces of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba were formed out of the territories. In 1898, the Yukon Territory became a separate entity, and in 1999, Nunavut was formed from the eastern section.
Yukon Territory. In 1870, Canada bought Rupert's Land and the Northwestern Territory from the Hudson's Bay Company. After the discovery of the gold in late 1800s, the government sent the Northwest Mounted Police there to show Canada owned and controlled the area. The Yukon was made into a separate territory in 1898 for two main reasons. The Klondike Gold Rush brought many Americans into Canada. Some people were worried that the United States would use this as an excuse to take control of the area. The gold rush had attracted many people to the region. This gave the Yukon a much bigger population and made the area more active than the rest of the Northwestern Territories. Yukon entered Confederation in July 13th, 1898, after the gold rush boom led Canada to create the second Northern Territory out of the Northwestern Territories. Yukon, along with Alaska, is the oldest continually inhabited part of North America, with the first people migrating across the Bering Strait land bridge at least 10,000 years ago.
Nunavut was formed from part of the Northwest Territories in 1999. When Canada first became a country, Native people were not asked what they thought about the Confederation. In fact, the government in Canada took control of the land, resulting in changes to the Inuit way of life. In the 1970s, the Inuit began to talk about the Canadian government about creating a new territory called Nunavut. There are two main reasons for this. For a long time, the Canadian government has made decisions for Native people without talking to them first. The Inuit wanted to start making decisions for themselves, and to do this, they needed their own government. When Nunavut was created in 1999, Paul Okalik was chosen as the first prime premier. The Inuit wanted to control their land. For many years, Canada has used the resources of the Arctic without asking the Inuit. Now the Inuit wanted some of the land back. In 1870, Canada bought Rupert's Land in the Northwest Territories from the Hudson's Bay Company. After the discovery of gold in the late 1800s, the government sent the Northwest Mounted Police there to show Canada owned and controlled the area. The Yukon was made into separate territory in 1898 for two main reasons. The Klondike Gold Rush brought many Americans into Canada. Some people were worried that the United States would use this as an excuse to take control of the area. The gold rush had attracted many people to the region. This gave the Yukon much bigger population and made it a more active area than the rest of the Northwest Territories. Yukon entered Confederation June 13, 1898 after a gold rush boom led to Canada to create a second northern territory out of the Northwest Territories. Yukon, along with Alaska, is the oldest continually inhabited part of North America, with the first people migrating across the Bering Strait land bridge at least 10,000 years ago.